r/ask Reddit. What was the biggest bullet you dodged? I had a cardiac arrest about 4 years ago. Dropped dead-ish in the middle of my shift. Found out after I woke up about a week later that A. The manager who saw me fall was a former lifeguard and knew proper CPR. B. An ambulance happened to be passing about 2 blocks away. Probably the best cardio unit in my state was a 10-minute ambulance ride from where it all happened. Walked out of the hospital about 2 weeks later. Full recovery. Just before starting HS, I got hit by a car doing 35 miles per hour while riding my bike. Open bracket. T-boned. My bike went under the car. I was thrown up. Smashed the windshield out with my back. Was flipped over the car and landed a perfect no-hop landing on my feet like a gymnast, minus the arms raised flourish at the end. The entire accident was witnessed by a firefighter who was watching out his window, literally standing right next to his emergency radio, and called for an ambulance. The lady who hit me got out of her car, yelling, "I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse. Lie down." I had no breaks or fractures, just a bruised ribcage. Holy shit. That's incredible. I can't tell you how many patients I've cared for who have become paraplegics or quadriplegics after being hit by a car going 35 miles per hour or even less. I'm so glad you landed on your feet. Literally LOL. Not changing jobs in early 2020 would have been a short-lived promotion after early restructuring and layoffs. I changed jobs the 9th of March, 2020. 2 days later my city shut down and everyone was sent to work from home. My new company committed to zero COVID layoffs. The company I left laid off about 80% of my department. Dodge a bullet, haha. Same thing. Mine committed to zero COVID layoffs. Apparently restructuring layoffs were fair game though. Was going to move to a different apartment complex last month. Got injured at work and lost hours. Therefore, couldn't come up with the deposit money in time. Last week Summer Shat was cooking meth and caught the building on fire. Edit. Ray my username. My current apartment complex is notorious in my city for having elevator troubles. So in reality, username does check out. Also, you could say I dodged 2 bullets. 1. The fire. 2. I know bad stuff happens everywhere blah blah blah, but the new place really didn't strike me as the kind of place where meth heads live. So I guess avoiding those kind of people for neighbors was dodging a bullet in itself. Thank God username doesn't check out. Edit. I am but a simple yam. Thank you all for the awards. In 1992 I was 16. A bunch of us were about to leave a party and I called shotgun. But my friend Pat kind of wrestled me out of the spot and I wound up jumping in another car since the first car was now full. The other driver and I watched as our friend's car skidded into oncoming traffic. Pat was airlifted to the local trauma hospital where his dad told a huge group of us teenagers that Pat had succumbed to his injuries. Maybe that's not exactly bullet dodged, but, edit, I guess this is what people mean by a comment blowing up. Pat's driver and my driver were racing each other. The road had just been paved and the shoulder was loose gravel. So when Pat's driver applied their brakes when the passenger side of the car was over the line on the right side of the number 2 lane, the passenger tires kept spinning while the driver's side locked up, spinning the car into an oncoming pickup. The oncoming driver was hospitalized and recovered. Pat's driver broke a femur, was convicted of vehicular manslaughter, sentenced to home detention, but was late to get home from high school one day which tripped the ankle monitor and the driver did 30 days. The 3 kids in the back had to be extracted by the jaws of life. Broke some bones. Got an insurance settlement. However, I don't think I would have died if I got shotgun. We would have left 15 seconds earlier and we wouldn't have hit that oncoming pickup. Or maybe we would have. Similar story. I was going out with my mom and sister when I was in about middle school. I always sat in the passenger side backseat if it was more than me and the driver. My sister decided at the last second that she would stay home, and we got T-boned on the way home in a hit and run. The other car totaled our car, with all the damage on the back passenger seat, where I should have been sitting. I still think about that often. I prefer the driver's side, with the assumption that the driver will be more aware of and responsive to threats on the same side. That thought has guided the placement of the car seat for my kid's entire life. Edit. I think it will save everybody some time to let you know that there are 7 Dwight Schrute comments so far, with 2 of them linking the video clip. When my great aunt passed away, I was helping to clean out her house. I'm just dragging everything out of the basement and suddenly my dad is like, "Whoa, put that down gently and let's move away from here." So I put the weird metal tube type thing I'm carrying down and get out of there. Turns out it's a mortar shell from when my aunt worked in a munitions factory during World War II. A bomb squad came and took it away. I'm just casually going to take a mortar from work. No problem at all, as you do. Did you ever hear back from the bomb squad about whether or not it was still active? If they took it rather than safely detonating it, I would imagine it was almost certainly inactive, unless there's more to the story than OP is letting on. Not me, but I had a field service engineer working on one of my big robotic liquid handlers. He decided to bypass the safety pin that prevents the heads from moving while the cover is open while he had a diagnostic program queued up on the computer. What he didn't know was that the instant he reinserted the safety pin, the machine would execute the queued instructions and start moving. And he had a hand inside it right in the danger zone. I grabbed his shoulder and yanked his hand out an instant before it was crushed. He stopped ignoring me when I told him to stop bypassing safety lockouts to save a few minutes. Bro, I'm sure this guy isn't completely responsible for you guys putting a safety system in place, but it sounds like he certainly had a hand in it. Damn it, take my upvote. I stayed up all night before a day trip to Hong Kong. You know the days when you haven't slept, you're just kinda robotic and doing the human stuff. Nearly zero awareness of anything? Well, I went across a street and my friend behind me snatched my shoulder and yanked me backwards just in time to feel the whoosh of a double-decker bus breezing past us. I just looked at him like, oh, thanks man, and it took a whole extra minute for my brain to process I would be duck and dead had he not grabbed me. I think I saved a baby's life once. It was in a city center, crossing a main road with a whole bunch of other people. The dad was pulling the pram behind him onto the pavement while he texted on his phone, and the dumb duck didn't realize he'd left the pram just there on the road while he himself was on the pavement. Everyone kinda ignored it while the traffic lights kept that section of road clear, but then the lights changed and the ducking moron still hadn't looked up from his phone while a huge double-decker was bearing down on his offspring. Out of the whole crowd, I was the only one to push forward and pull the pram onto the pavement. The complete imbecile gave a grunt of surprise and dropped his phone as the bus whooshed past and he realized he'd utterly failed in his parenting responsibilities. Which was some consolation. I hope it chatted. Thanks you all for the praise. I don't feel good about the situation though. Just seething fury. And to those who told me I should have let the baby die, go eat a takeaway bag of shit on your way to a therapist. About why the bus driver didn't stop, I honestly have no idea. There were a few seconds between me pulling the pram back and my memory of the bus going by. Maybe he realized it would be fine. Or maybe he was driving automatically and hadn't noticed. Whatever. I'm just glad I didn't have to see a baby die painfully that day. Forget the phone shattering. I'd hope he reflects on that moment often. Similar situation, but he had kids with another woman and ended up murdering their kids and tried killing her. He also robbed a ton of old people and now he's in jail for life. Bullet dodged. Your story. Boys and girls, remember this. Violence always escalates. Went to kill myself by putting a plastic bag over my head and tying it off. Figured it would be less messy to be found. My cat started going crazy on the other side of the door when I started to get lightheaded and feel sort of nauseous. I thought, oh right, you need your dinner and no one else will feed you, and I untied the bag to feed the cat. After the fact I realized my cat literally saved me from one of my lowest points. God, I miss that cat. Still can't believe I came that close. Edit. Hi friends. Thank you for all the warm thoughts and sharing stories of your savior pets. Do save your awards please. This is the most I've ever gotten. Maybe give them to another comment that has yet to receive an award. Spread the smiles, love and support. Thank you so much. I'm truly touched by the human connection in this thread. I might sound crazy, but I'm sure your cat knew. I attempted suicide by trying to slice my wrists. But as soon as I sat in my kitchen with the knife in my hand, my dog rushed to me and started licking my arms and my face. To this day, I'm sure she knew what was going on. Seeing her so desperate for me to stop was what prevented me from doing it. God, I miss that doggo. Edit. Holy crap. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. Thanks for sharing your stories. For the kind messages and the awards, everyone. I wish you all the best in these difficult times. Edit 2. 10,000 upvotes. Thank you. Seriously, don't forget to check on your loved ones. Whether they look sad, depressed or not, not everyone opens up about mental health. I'd agree with this. My GF, now wife, got pregnant when we were teenagers. It was obviously a very difficult time and we spent a lot of time sitting on my couch contemplating how to handle the situation. Without fail, my dog would come and lay his head across my wife's stomach. This was very early on, she wasn't showing at all, and it was very comforting to her. However, it may not have been intuition. We assumed maybe he could hear the heartbeat or had a new smell now that she was getting pregnancy hormones. Our baby came out healthy and we went on to have another happy baby, earn a master's and doctorate degree, and buy our first home by 26. My mother left me in one state and went back to my abusive stepfather. She tried to get me to drop out of my senior year at HS, move back to their state and just get my get. They wanted a live-in babysitter, cook and maid. I was so lucky my grandparents let me move in with them and finish school. Edit. Thanks for all the love, guys. For those who have asked, I'm doing great. I've gone no contact with my mother and stepfather. They're still together, and it's been one of the most healthy decisions I've made. My husband and my kids are amazing and she's missing out big time. My grandparents are alive and well and are still involved in our lives. It's always the grandparents that are the true homies. Grandparents have the grim misfortune of seeing their children become complete assholes, and then treat their grandkids the way they wish they'd treated their kids. Not my story, but a girl I knew had had a few drinks and decided to hitchhike home, a town about 40 minutes away from the one she'd been drinking in. Note it is very common for people to hitchhike in this area. She gets picked up by a car of guys. All seems fine until she points out they can drop her off just up ahead, and they keep driving. She had that instant sober feeling. She plays it off like she's clueless and totally down to keep hanging out with them, acting like she's very drunk. Meanwhile, they're back in more forested area of the highway. Then she fake dry heaves and says she about to puke, really putting on a show, so they stop to let her out. She books it into the bushes and just doesn't look back until she's safe. Edit. Oh my gosh, you guys. Not even my story stopped giving me awards. To answer some common things in comments, from what I'm aware of, no charges were ever pressed. By the time she made it to safety, they would have been long gone and she had no info like names, license plate or anything. Yes, smart idea once in that situation. Definitely not smart to be in that situation in the first place though. Edit 2. I just remembered another, not mine but equals my mom, as a late teen early 20s ish, was with a group of friends out drinking one night and one girl wanted to hitchhike. The others didn't. She gets picked up, never to be seen again. Not even her body found. Don't drink and hike, hitch people. That was very smart of her. Edit. Cliche but 6. 4k upvotes. That's the most I've gotten. LOL. Thanks and hope your day goes well. When I was in high school, we had a cop come talk to us about what to do if we were in the car with someone and things didn't feel right. They said to use the 3 P's and say you desperately gotta puke, gotta pee, or gotta poop, and the ducker more often than not cares more about their car getting soiled than whatever they wanted to do to you, and will let you out. After I had a stroke, I was in a coma and it didn't look like I'd wake up. The doctors asked my wife if they should let me go. I only exist because she said no. I didn't dodge a bullet so much as my wife blocked it for me. Edit. I didn't think this would be this popular. I'm posting a video my wife made of the first year of recovery if anyone's interested. Warning. It's long. https:// Google. File d/1dvcwlot6igz9ajjogpiejdkxr9nview. Honestly, this made me tear up a lil. Please tell your wife that she's incredible. My aunt did something similar. She saved her husband from a heart attack by using her nursing experience and network to get him on the table before it even started. To this day, even doctors have no idea what caused his heart attack. But my aunt and your wife are legit superheroes. Your wife is amazing. I hope she realizes that. Customary edit. Thank you U/G+S for the award. Freshman year of college I had a calc class. It was material I had learned before, but for various reasons they didn't give me transfer credit, so I skipped class quite frequently, though I usually slept in. One morning I find myself awake at 8:30 and not really feeling like sleep. Might as well check in on the class and see what's going on. It was the midterm exam. As a chronic procrastinator, I've been there, but I've also noticed it a day too late and that feels bad, man. Just noticed one of my assignments a day too late and the syllabus says no late work, no exceptions. I went from an A to a C+. My dad was going through severe depression 10 years ago and my life was equally shitty for a whole multitude of reasons, and it was rubbing off on me. I spent what felt like half an hour crying on the floor and working up the nerve to pull the trigger. Then when I finally did, the safety was on. I sold my gun the next morning. Wish my dad was able to say the same 3 years later. R.I.P. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words and even awards. I never expected this thread to explode in popularity the way it did. I've tried my best to respond to everybody, but if I missed you, that doesn't mean that I'm not thankful for your input. Really sorry to hear that, dude. Hope things get better for you. All my condolences go to you and your family. Thank you. Things have somewhat improved, which if I was in the financial position I'm in now that I was around that time, things definitely would have been different. Both of us were financially struggling. My GF and I were going to see Cats, the movie. Our Uber pulls up and straight away we notice something about the driver. To this day, we can't articulate what it was, other than to say he just felt off. We got into his car, already hesitating and a touch anxious. He looks at us in the rear view mirror and makes a comment like "two lovely ladies in my car tonight" or some weird shit. A few minutes in, he makes another semi-sexual innuendo comment about riding with him. My friend notices the handle of a knife just poking out the side of his jacket. She says, "Hey, can we stop at 7-Eleven? We need to grab a Gatorade real quick." So we go in and refuse to come back out. We're considering whether to call the police or not. It was so creepy. But what would we say? Some dude was creepy to us, and while we're hesitating, he winds down his window, brandishes this ducking hunting knife at both of us, screams something about devil women and then just tears it out the parking lot. To this day, my GF and I are so thankful that we got out of that Uber, otherwise we would have made it to the movies in time and we would have seen Cats. Hit me with a curveball there at the end. Bravo. That ending, man. What a story. I was walking down the street in downtown Chicago and I heard a loud bang followed by a woman screaming. Somebody dropped a full 2-liter bottle of soda from the 13th floor and it just missed me. It was essentially a giant bullet at that heightened speed. The woman screaming was about 5 feet behind me. She was the second closest to being hit. I'm pretty sure that bottle would have killed me if it hit me. Edit. Thanks for the awards. I immediately reported this to a nearby police officer and he said they were trying to find the guy who was trying to hit people from the 13th floor earlier that day. That's where I got the 13th floor. For those of you who say there's no such thing as a 13th floor in America, fine. 14th floor, but on the same height as where the 13th floor would be. For non-Americans, 13 is unlucky, so some buildings will call their 13th floor the 14th floor. Another edit. Lots of discussion on why Americans sometimes skip the 13th floor and why Asians sometimes skip the 4th floor. I've been to a hotel in Asia that skipped both. 4th floor for the superstitious local Asians and 13th floor for the superstitious traveling Americans Westerners. So the actual 4th floor is called the 5th floor. The actual 13th floor is called the 15th floor. The actual 20th floor is called the 22nd floor, etc. Can someone do the math and figure out the terminal velocity of 2 liters of soda in a bottle so we know if it really would have killed him? Physics teacher here. Back of napkin calculation says it would hit at around 75 miles per hour. Edit. It all depends on how tall 13 stories is. When I was in middle school I wanted to buy a fedora, but none could fit my head. Euphoric. I'm glad you checked. Bro, you truly dodged a bullet there. I feel horrible for the kid with a mother like that. A friend had lost his job under suspicious circumstances. A few weeks later he asked me to take him to the bank. As I got near to pick him up I caught a train. He called to say never mind, he would get someone else. A few days later a friend sent out a message to a large number of our friends. This guy lost his job and was running a check cashing con. Can you cash this check for me? I'll pay you $50 if you do. The check is $500. He has no backing funds. You eat the whole amount. He did this to several friends in a few days to amass a few grand and was about to skip town when the cops got him. Halfway through this I was thinking you dodged being an unknown getaway driver for a bank robbery. Same here. Was slightly disappointed. At 17 I met and married a sweet little North Carolina daddy's girl. Had I not I would have still been hanging with my friends that just discovered heroin. Of the 3 friends, 2 are dead and 1 did 10 years in prison. Everyone I used to know, including family members, got into heroin. I loved to party and had done all the drugs with them up to the point of heroin and probably would have got into it too if it weren't for my GF at the time forbidding me from it. Thank God I loved her more than drugs to listen to her. A lot of them are dead. My sister and the rest of them are locked up. I just laughed at the thought of your GF telling you that you can do all the drugs you want, just not heroin. Many years ago, my flight had just landed at Chicago O'Hare and the plane was taxiing when the pilot suddenly slammed on the brakes. People were literally thrown forward against the seat in front of them. A few seconds later, another plane, taking off I think, went screaming by right in front of us. No explanation was given, though our imaginations provided a lot of gory details. Just regular Chicago drivers. It's do or die on the Dan Ryan. 7. 92 Mauser rifle bullet. When I was 15ish I was very depressed and got very drunk. Found my great grandfather's World War I captured German rifle. Found some bullets from that time. Loaded it. And put the rifle in my mouth and pulled the trigger. Thankfully the bullet was not loaded properly, was a dud for being 90 years old at the time. And did not fire. You got extremely lucky. I am shooting 70-year-old ammo and it's very rare to have a dud. Glad you made it through. I think the intent was clear, but fixed it. Thanks. I mean it had been sitting in a basement for years, and it might have been a larger round as I had problems fitting it in. I was younger and less experienced with firearms. Nice. I have some ammo from World War II, German and Soviet, but do not shoot it. There was a pile of stuff that people would leave at our house when I was at university. Coats and stuff. Moving out day and we found a random samurai sword in the pile. We were messing about with it trying to make it go swoosh. I was stood facing my brother while he was swooshing it when the blade dislodged from the handle. Flew straight past me and stuck horizontally into my headboard. So yeah, my brother nearly impaled me while messing around with a random sword we found after a house party. Pics for proof. https://imgur.com gallery at kdtl. I can hear r/sword screaming about wall hangers staying on the wall lol. Getting chased by someone with a knife across my apartment. I closed my door at the right moment so that person ended up stabbing my wooden door instead. The mark was there until I left the apartment a few years later as a constant reminder of what could have been. Unfortunate, but a good moral boost. Shit, I'm late for work, opens door to knife mark A. Could have been worse. Edit. Oh my first award. Thank you, kind stranger. And why was this person trying to stab you? A literal police car. The police were chasing someone and I was crossing the road and my dumbass was walking slowly and the police car nearly grazed me. Look both ways and take off your headphones when you cross the road, kids. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cuss you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.